Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. Oddbird, son. Yeah, I haven't been at Oddbird in a while. I really dig the brewery, but they're just kind of an hour away. They're not 40 minutes away, so I just don't get down there all that often. But as luck would have it, my mother-in-law apparently does this crazy sandwich place right down the street, very close to Oddbird, actually, in between Oddbird and Conclave. Two Brothers, name of the place is called Two Brothers Ravioli. It's a great place for a sandwich shop, Italian deli. And she's like, I want a sandwich from there. I heard it's great. I was like, okay. Gives me the reason for the season to get down here. Sandwich was bang, by the way. We're talking about Extraordinary Machine. This is 6.4% IPA. This was crowlered on the 28th of 2023. Today is the 29th. So yesterday, New Zealand hop based IPA we have going on there. Oddbird. Digging on their logo. I love Oddbird. I'm go down there, Adam the brewer. I go down there, and anytime I go down there, just talk. I was there for an hour and change, and just we didn't stop talking. Those are the kind of conversations I like to have. Kind of brewery trips I like to have. And I couldn't leave without getting a couple jams. So anyway, like I said, dig their logo, dig their stylings on their crowlers. As far as the beer goes, it looks like a hazy. It comes off a skosh darker than you'd want a hazy IPA to really look. But it definitely has that kind of rich golden glow, touch darker malt than you'd expect, and then just the index finger of a creamy, fluffy kind of head. That's a good nose. Yeah, it comes off, like when I talk about New Zealand hops and I talk about, Southern Hemisphere hops, it really is usually a combination of a tropical fruitiness along with a little bit of ranky-dank onion garlicky thing. That's been suppressed a lot in these hops, but you can't hide it completely, and that's kind of what I'm getting here. So I'm getting this nice sweet maltiness, nothing too crazy, nothing over the top, a malt-driven beer, something that's not just straight brewer sugar. On top of that, you have those New Zealand hops, not popping, not crazy. I mean, it's a low ABV, 6.4%, but it has that little twist, that little bit, with that little bit of sweet citrus. Obviously, you're always going to get that pretty much from all fruity kind of hops, but then it's that tropical fruit kind of star of the show with that little twist of that. I wouldn't call it ranky-dank, super ranky-dank, but a little bit of funky rankiness kind of floating around in there, as you were to get from a lot of those, Motueka style hops, at least back in the day you used to. Like I said, I've kind of been breeding out of it, but you still kind of get it. So let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. It really kind of floats somewhere between New England style, not even New England style, so it comes between a hazy IPA and a West Coast IPA, because there is a staunch bitterness here for its ABV level, for its impact. It's not a hugely bittering beer, I'm not trying to say that, but it's sturdy for the style of beer it is, and it does have that little bit of scaly onioniness to it that I tend to get from those older style Southern Hemisphere hops. Nice mouthfeel to it. It's not going to be confused with being dense and thick and soupy with a lot of hazy IPA. Here it says Experimental Machine IPA. They're not calling it hazy. I'm calling it hazy because technically it is, but by today's standards, not so much. But it has a really nice drinkable mouthfeel to it. Reminds me of old school, new school IPA. Again, Fiddlehead, Heady, that kind of era of beers. Finish is dry. Has a nice sweetness at the front, but pops off, finishes dry, that accentuated by that bitterness. So that's nice. Honestly, it's like a super easy chugger. It's kind of creepy drinkable. Like, you almost want it to be like sub 4% because of how easy drink it is. It's nice. I like it. Full disclosure, canned a day before. I get very, very small brewery. Like their tap room is a little bit bigger than my studio here. So they have to move all their brewing equipment to a certain area and to brew, and then they have to shove it all back on wheels in the corner when they open their tap room. That's the size they are. I've always been a big fan of Crowler immediately. You know what I mean? Crowler in front of me at the thing. Like the pre-Crowler. I buy them all the time. I'm not going to sit there, whatever. But has this had touched oxygen for a little bit longer, a little bit more aggressively than maybe something that was, crowlered in front of me and I opened same day? Maybe. Maybe that's why it's a little touch a bit darker. This is me just guessing. but it's still a really, really good beer. And it showcases a bittering side and a malt side that you typically don't get in a lot of like IPA nowadays. I mean, Oddbird, they do what they do. They do their beers the way they want to do them. They don't lean heavily into the hazy IPA. Their flagship beer is a hazy IPA called Catbird. But they do a lot of other beers. They had a rye ESB when I was there, or was it just a plain bitter? I had a lager, a couple different kinds of styles of beer. He's coming out with a Grodziskie in January. They're that kind of brewery. But they do IPAs, and I do really dig them, and I like the way this showcases. The only thing I would really kind of get down on, again, ABV. I want this a little bit lower ABV, but again, 6.4%, not that big of an ABV. And a fun, tasty beer. You can tell it's Southern Hemisphere hops. You tell that it's New Zealand hops. You tell it has that little bit of DNA of that old school rinky-dink oniony thing that I tend to get from a lot of those from back in the day, but it's been stripped down a little bit, but still omnipresent, especially in something that's huge. Not huge here at ABV or anything like that. And I dig it. I think it's fun. I will rip this whole can. So there you go. Is it one of the better IPAs that I've had as of late? Yeah, sure. It's not Mount Rushmore status up there or anything like that, but I dig it. I think it's fun. It's tasty. Value availability, $10 for a Crowler, which is, it's 25.4, which is weird to get because you get the Crowlers all the time. They're just 32 ounces. I don't mind it. It's just a weird Crowler size. And so that's not bad. $10. Come on now. And leave you with, if you like what you like this. If you like New Zealand hops, you like old school, new school IPA, a la Fiddlehead, that kind of stuff, you'll dig this. There you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Oddbird, have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? All that fun stuff. Let's talk about it down there. Have you had this at the brewery, in a Crowler? Any of that? Conversations. Hopefully you all enjoyed a review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of beer right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.